Hey, how's it going? My name is Serena and welcome to my studio. What is Snowcap? What is Blanco Blanco? What's the difference between them? How are they different from regular alcohol inks? And how do you use them? Today, I'm going to answer these questions and more in today's edition of Alcohol Inks A to Z. Before we get started, please subscribe to my channel using the subscribe button to be the first to know when I release new videos on alcohol inks, including techniques, demos, tricks, and tips. So what is Snowcap? And what is Blanco Blanco? Snowcap and Blanco Blanco are opaque white inks that can be added to alcohol ink work. Unlike regular alcohol inks, they contain pigments, just like metallics and metallic mixatives. And if you're wondering about the difference between pigments and dyes, feel free to check out my video, What is Alcohol Ink? As of right now, Jacquard Piñata and Tim Holtz Ranger both make opaque whites. Piñata calls theirs Blanco Blanco, or just Blanco for short, and Ranger calls theirs Snowcap. On the Jacquard Piñata website, they briefly describe their whites here. Blanco 030 is also an opaque, pigmented color used for creating tints and pastels. And here's Ranger's page. Now when you go to the Tim Holtz Ranger site for Snowcap, you can see that they have it listed as a mixative, along with gold, silver, gunmetal, rose gold, and pearl, which are metallic mixatives. Snowcap is a mixative, not a metallic mixative, because even though it contains pigment like other mixatives, it doesn't have a metallic sheen. Ranger doesn't say much right now on their website about Snowcap except, note, Ranger does not recommend using Tim Holtz alcohol inks, metallic mixatives, Snowcap mixative, or alcohol ink blending solution in spray bottles, as these contents contain alcohol and should not be airborne. I should note that I've been advised that misting with these or using these in spray bottles or making them airborne is very, very dangerous, especially if it gets in your eyes or lungs, and I would take the same precautions and avoid misting with the piñatas as well. If you're worried about safety in alcohol inks, I have a video that I did on safety precautions when working with them. You can see right in the description that Ranger makes a distinction between metallic mixatives and Snowcap mixative. Piñata's Blanco Blanco is currently available in two sizes, 14.7 mils or 0.5 ounces, as well as 118 mils or 4 ounces. Ranger Snowcap is only available in 14.7 mils or 0.5 ounces. Because they contain pigments, they tend to settle at the bottom over time, so you can get separation. If you look closely here, you can see the separation with the clearest liquid at the top and all the white pigment settled at the bottom. Like the metallic bottles in Ranger and Piñata, the Snowcap bottles have a small metal ball bearing in them that you can hear if you shake it hard enough. This is what it looks like. Because the pigment can really settle and get thick and goopy on the bottom, you may not hear the ball bearing at first. The Piñata Blanco doesn't appear to have a ball bearing in either the large or small size bottles, unlike their metallics, which has one in both sizes. So perhaps the manufacturer doesn't feel there's enough separation to warrant having one. In my experience, I found that the Blanco doesn't separate as much or get quite as thick on the bottom as the Snowcap, and I find it easier to agitate the bottle. Some people prefer to take off the cap and just cover the bottle tip with their gloved finger so the ink doesn't get all over the inside of the cap when they shake it, although you won't be able to do this with the large size Blanco because the opening is so big. It's ideal to shake the bottle vigorously for a good few seconds, preferably until you can hear the ball bearing for the Snowcap. If you don't, you might get an inconsistent application and some parts might be more intense white than others. If you don't hear the ball for the Snowcap, just keep shaking it or shake it harder because there's a good chance that the pigments are really settled at the bottom and the ball is stuck. You can also give it some hard taps on your table or surface. For the Blanco, just make sure to shake it vigorously for a good few seconds. I've heard it suggested, at least for the Ranger mixatives and metallic mixatives, that they're meant to be stored on their sides. In my experience, this does help, as when I store the Ranger mixatives and metallic mixatives on their sides, the pigments have more room to spread out before they settle, and it's easier to shake them up. So here are the swatches I made of both whites by themselves with no other inks or blending solution. I just painted these onto black modeling film and white Yupo so you can have a quick visual of what they look like. You can't really see them well on the white surface, but you can on the black. What lots of people want to know is how the whites react when you add them to alcohol ink or blending solution, so I'm going to test different combinations of blending solutions and regular alcohol inks with both whites so you can see how they react to each one. This next part might seem tedious because I'm trying so many combinations. If you don't want to watch this section and you just want the end result, the video description lists where I do a final comparison. However, if you want to watch me test these out because you'd like to see how they move in response to different changes, stick around and let's get going. Now each of these samples is going to be done on white Yupo and black modeling film, so you can see it on a light and a dark surface. For each sample, I'm going to show you the white with alcohol or solution dripped on top, then moved around with an air compressor. Next, we're going to test both opaque whites with alcohol ink and metallics. Here I'm going to use Teal by Artsy for the alcohol ink and Piñata Gold for the gold. So these are my observations now that I've had a chance to play with both brands. The Piñata Blanco Blanco seems more likely to clump up, especially with isopropyl alcohol. It seems to do this less with the blending solutions from Copic, Ranger, Zig, and Chameleon, and the least with the Piñata Claro Extender and the Piñata Cleanup Solution. This makes sense because these products were designed to be used with Blanco. I've also found that when I use a lot of it without enough alcohol ink, when it dries, it's more likely to chip and crack. However, some people use these properties to their advantage to get texture in their paintings. The Piñata does blend well with alcohol inks and metallics. The Snowcap, on the other hand, seems to blend well with the solutions and inks and metallics. I found it has a buttery smooth application that's consistent throughout, with no clumping, chipping, or cracking, even with isopropyl alcohol, so it seems to be a more consistent product overall, at least in my experience. Overall, you can get beautiful effects with both products. Here's a painting I did with the Piñata Blanco Blanco. And here's a painting I did with the Ranger Snowcap. I have found, not just from today, but working with them over time, that whites can overpower alcohol ink colors if you don't use them sparingly. I feel it's best to start with a little and add more slowly, but as you get more experience working with them, you'll start to get familiar with how much you can add earlier on. Remember, changing the blending solution or the ink brand or the type of metallic could alter your results. Another white you may have seen is this opaque white by Copic. It's different from Blanco or Snowcap because although it's fluid, it's really thick and viscous. It appears it was primarily designed for accents as opposed to Blanco or Snowcap, which were formulated to work with other alcohol inks. You can see on the website that it comes in a container as well as a container with a brush. The Copic website says you can dilute it with water. When I try to add it to this Persian blue by Zig Color, even with the alcohol ink added, it doesn't really flow the same way as the Blanco or Snowcap. Because it doesn't seem like it was formulated to work with free-flowing alcohol inks, I'm not comfortable using it with them in case it causes unintended reactions down the road. Some people are wondering how opaque whites differ from regular white alcohol inks. So now that we've seen lots of examples of how the opaque whites react, I'm going to show you what happens when you add regular white alcohol ink to another alcohol ink color. I'm using a color called Pearl White by Copic, and I'm adding it to Berry by Artsy. You can see it doesn't really do much to the color itself. Now beside it, I'm going to add Blanco to the berry. And you can see it immediately lightens it up and makes it pastel. Now that we're done working with opaque whites, Remember that these factors may alter the results. What surface or substrate you use, what blending solution is used, amount of blending solution added, ink brand or color used, adding metallics or metallic mixatives, the order it's applied in, and how long you wait between adding them. If you've been wanting to experiment with Blanco or Snowcap, but you're not sure how, or you're building up the courage, consider starting by doing swatches of them mixed with different colors of inks and try playing with these variables. Try them with different colored inks to see what color combinations you like best. Don't be afraid to play with different brands. Try playing with combinations of alcohol ink colors and metallic mixatives such as gold, silver, brass, copper, gunmetal, and rose gold, as well as pearl. Play with the order you add them in. Experiment with using them on different substrates. Use different blending solutions to see which one gives you the flow you like best. And experiment with changing the timing. Finally, here's a basic comparison chart to show you the differences between the opaque whites from each brand. You can find the link to download it in the video description. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new about opaque whites. Which opaque white do you prefer? Blanco or Snowcap? And why? Let me know in the comments. Please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to be the first to know when I release new alcohol ink videos. Other videos will include blending solutions, surfaces and substrates, tools to get alcohol ink effects, and so much more. See you soon. Cheers.